that are being done can also prefer charges. And this is one of the recommendations for each individual state to get up off the couch and start understanding who did what to who, how it's being done, and who basically is primarily responsible. These people need to be removed from their positions. Just that simple. That's the only way I know to clarify the whole thing. Now, that should answer a whole bunch of questions. Thank you.
Will that include people who mistreat, abuse, or massacre animals for profit, like at farm factories, or will this only apply to people who have behaved badly towards humans?
It's a combination. You're talking about an eventuality that's down the road a little bit in terms of technologies that have been suppressed, that have been readily available, that will come out.
Okay, so will it have anything to do with people, or just people, or will it also include a better way of life for animals?
You might want to include everything you can think of in terms of making things right.
Okay.
It's not cool to torture an animal any more so than it would be a human. So what you have to understand is that with a technological shift towards a different parameter of science, things that you cannot imagine or have been imagined, and I'll refer to the show Star Trek, and I will tell you that everyone who really wants answers to that should take a close look at the society and the manner in which the people lived within that society at that 25th century sci-fi idea. That's primarily what you're going to start experiencing. Now, this is not overnight, but it is in process.
Okay, two more quick questions. Like David Wilcock, I feel as though divine intervention is occurring. It is my understanding that extraterrestrials and interterrestrials are assisting this global effort. Do you agree? And will these arrests help pave the way for ET disclosure in the near future?
That's something best answered on David Wilcock's site. However, I'm going to allude to one thing, and that is something stated in the Bible, and this ought to cover a bunch of questions and answers as well. That which is of God prospers, grows, and becomes prolific. Anything that is not withers and dies. So therefore, you make the differential, and you decide on that. I will allude to the fact that it's not possible for us to have done what we've done without divine intervention. Now, I don't know how to define angels and ETs. I'm not sure if they're not the same thing. I'm not going to say, and because I would rather not. But if someone is curious about that, go to David Wilcock's site and read everything he's got, and you'll have a better understanding as to probability, this and that. You decide whether it's a reality. If someone would prefer the idea of an angel over an ET, accept that. That's not a problem with me. I don't care if it's an angel or an ET, personally. As long as we can go around blessing people, I don't care, personally. So it's not going to be a definitive answer on that. And I don't, like I say, I don't personally entertain a lot of the ET ideology, but divine intervention, got to be.
Okay, and then I learned on Sunday's show that there is no statute of limitation on fraud. Is there any chance Americans will receive financial reconciliation for fraudulent federal income tax collected by the IRS?
All these things are going to be rectified.
Okay. Last question.
Thank you.
Due to the magnitude of this operation, are people being arrested now, and then the big announcement will be made once they are all rounded up? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Drake, he asked you a question.
Should I repeat it?
Yes, please.
my last question is, due to the magnitude of this operation, are people being arrested now, and then the big announcement will be made once they are all rounded up?
Not exactly. You got people behind the scenes that are being taken into custody and or put under house arrest, things of this nature that's not going to be in the mainstream media news. The basis of what's going to happen is very simple. We have set the country free through the notification process. The secondary part of that is that the military has assured its backing to us for the backing of the mass arrest scenario. The mass arrest scenario is going to be primarily all of your celebrity or well-known figures. You're going to recognize a load of the names. Now, the first thing that happens is that the central banking system is going to be required to repay each and everything that they borrowed. Not us, them. This will bankrupt that corporation. Second part of this is a load, and I mean a heavy load, of criminal charges. Those criminal charges are not limited to anything. They contain just about every crime you can think of. Following that, a reorientation back to the original de jure founding document government that was originally set in the United States will be implemented. Within all this process, you're going to have people taken care of in terms of they're going to try to make sure that the lights are on, et cetera, phones work, and all this. If there's a food shortage someplace, they will break out emergency rations and make sure people don't starve. In other words, everything that you can think of in terms of maintaining a general lifestyle is going to be as preserved as possible, and this is going to be done with the least amount of chaos and as peaceably as possible. Some people probably will want to shoot it out. Well, that's their problem. There's no need for that. You get adjudicated, you get 1,000 years or something, you know, enjoy the FEMA camp for however long you live. There's a lot that goes into this, and I won't go into further detail simply because it's already been stated on the recordings at freedomreigns.us.
All right. Thank you, Jim, or John, for your calls.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and move on to our next caller. Our next caller is Dan, and I'm bringing Dan up now. Dan, you have a comment or a question. Your mic is opened.
Hi, yes, thanks again. What a wonderful call, and I was glad that I remembered to tune in at 10 a.m. here in the Pacific. I'm here in Las Vegas. And Drake, you mentioned about before the British colonies, so I started going on my internet, and I saw something about religious freedom in British North America colonies before 1700. Were you alluding to religious freedom?
No, I'm alluding to the original founding documents that deal with who is the owner of the lands and things of that nature. This process is ongoing. I can't go any further than that.
Okay, I'm sure as time goes on, we'll be able to find that out. In my research over the last 2 years, it's amazing how a certain entity has been kicked out of over 100 countries over the last 400 plus years, and their name keeps on changing. Now, I live here in Las Vegas and work in the casino industry, and if you're a card counter and you get caught, they kick you out, and little by little you change. You might put a hat, you might wear a different hairpiece or something. And what I found over the last 2 years, the certain entities had over 6,000 books in our libraries taken out where you can't find out information about them, and they keep on changing their name. It's pretty interesting.
You'll find a lot of that as things start being outed and information comes available.
Yeah. But anyways, keep up the good work, and the name I'll reveal right now is the Jesuits, and it's pretty amazing how they keep on changing their names. God bless you all, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Okay, we're going to bring up our next caller here. Our next caller is Laura. Laura?
Hi.
Hi. You're on.
Hi.
Thanks. You might want to turn your volume down. Getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, I got that. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I just have two quick questions. The first one is for Drake. How can we find out if our state has filed the notification paperwork? Or can we?
That's an interesting question. I would suggest that you send an email to freedomreigns.us, and it'll be forwarded to the correct person. Be sure to include your contact info in that, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Or you can tell me what state you're in, and I'll answer your question.
I'm in Missouri.
Okay, let me look.
Okay. I guess that was the end of Laura's question.
No, I have one more quick question. Okay, we have a big garden planted, as we do each year, and stored up all the goodies. And we have our financial loose strings all tied up. Everything's paid off here. What should be our next move?
And by the way, Missouri is completed.
Hot dog. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I would tell you to stand pat. In terms of things dealing with the people, there's going to be a worldwide revaluation of currencies from a debt instrument to an equity instrument, and that will facilitate considerable changes. So, far as I understand it, the plan has changed. They were going to have a new currency, which would allow for an exchange program, and they decided that it could be done in terms of the currency we have now, except that it says Federal Reserve note on it. So I'm thinking they're going to bring the newly printed money back, bleach the paper, and reprint. And that will be the exchange kind of thing. I do not know the evaluations.
Okay, so but it would have to be backed by something, shouldn't it, to keep it from getting crazy overinflated like it has been?
Exactly. It'll go from a debt instrument, which is what we have now,
right,
to an equity instrument backed by assets.
Okay. Thank you, Drake, and you all just keep up the good work, and we'll keep our ears to the radio.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Our next caller that we have is Ray, and I'm bringing Ray up now. Ray, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. First off, just thank Drake, Terry, and Deatra. We certainly appreciate the effort that you're making. I had a question for Deatra, or whoever might be able to answer this. Do you actually have a counter, and you know how many people are actually on a call like this or on the call on Sunday?
Hello.
Did we lose her?
Maybe just for a second. I'm driving right now. Could you hear me?
No, it was Deatra we can't hear.
She did say she was having some phone fun. So there are numbers available,
you want me to
but I
answer
don't
that?
They want it out.
She does have a way to be able to tell how many calls are on the phone listening and in the chat room listening. However, it is the policy of the broadcasting network that those numbers cannot be shared.
Okay, thank you. Another question. Drake, I also go to many other sites like most of the callers do. I was reading Ben Fulford's latest post from a couple of days ago, and he had alluded to that the HAARP facility is no longer being controlled by the dark side. Can you confirm that, or do you know anything about it?
I know that it was intended to be, that the control was intended to be taken away from the bad side,